Hello, fellow classmates of Mrs. Frost's Juvenile Delinquency course. My name is Mitchell, and today I would like to talk to you about juveniles prosecuted as an adult. And we've talked about this before, but I'd kind of like to give my 2 cents into it. We all know how a courtroom is: judge, jury, prosecution, defense. Prosecution: he did it. Here's the evidence. Defense: no, he didn't. He's insane. This evidence is wrong. Your expert does not know what he's talking about. I want doubt. I want doubt in the jury. He didn't do it. And the jury: Your Honor, we'd like to... Jury, have you reached a verdict? Yes, Your Honor, we confirm that the defense is guilty. They, say he's guilty, not guilty after everything's done. My opinion, really, for juveniles being tried as an adult is mainly down to seriousness of crimes and a little bit of other stuff, and I'll get into that in a second. Mainly, it is seriousness of crime. Sorry about that. I'm using that as a note. Sorry. But seriousness of crime. Have they committed murder? Part 1 crimes: murder, arson, rape. Rape I consider on the same tier as, murder, because to me it just seems like it should not be considered I'm not saying it's a lesser crime, but in a tier of things it's a lesser crime underneath murder. And really, that's a horrible way to say it, but it's true. It's, again, seriousness of crime. But also, the thing is, juveniles are like adults. They can commit the same crimes as an adult. They can commit murder. They can commit rape. They can commit arson. It doesn't matter. They can commit the same crimes. We're all human. We can commit the same crimes. I could go out and rob a liquor store, for God's sakes. Hey, someone else can. I'm not saying I will. But, again, they have the ability to be able to commit the same crimes. They may not have the means by easily getting it, by the means to actually commit the crime as easily as an adult would, but they can still commit the same crimes. And really it comes down to, have they committed a Part 1 crime? Hey, adults can commit that one too. Have they committed Part 2 crimes? Hey, adults can do these as well. That is where really it comes down to. And this is something that prosecutions have to look at, as well as other factors that play into a juvenile case. Mainly, they have to really look at the evidence. They have to be able to prove that the evidence is actually tied to the crime. And they have to make sure that the evidence does not create bias and everything. And that's something that, in the court, the judge actually has when a new piece of evidence is brought in, the jury is actually taken out of the room and then is deliberated on by judge, prosecution, and defense, and make sure that it does not create bias in the favor of the prosecution. It's all to eliminate bias, and that's something that the courts always try to do. If the evidence is found that it does not create bias, jury is brought back in and they're presented the evidence. That's something that can easily get a case thrown out, is that if a piece of evidence creates bias, defense can say, hey, wait a minute, this piece of evidence is creating a great amount of bias against my client. This is not a fair trial. Case could be thrown out, or case could be restarted and redone. Another thing too that the prosecution has to be able to do: prove beyond reasonable doubt. They have to prove that, hey, he committed the murder. Evidence supports this. There is no doubt he committed the murder. Example, Columbine shooters, if they were still alive, Dylan and Eric. These two committed the crime. Here's the evidence that proves it. There is no doubt that they committed the crime. They could go to jail for it. The defense has to be able to disprove this evidence. They have to say, hey, wait a minute, has this evidence been gained legally? Is this evidence not going to create bias? Is this evidence actually gained legally? Has it been tampered with? This is something they have to be able to do to prove doubt. And that's what can save a case. They have to have doubt to keep their juvenile from possibly going to jail. And really, juvenile, it all comes down to age. Their age plays such a big factor. The defense can use it as their defense. This child did not have a full understanding of what they were doing. The juvenile is too young, Your Honor. I did not know of the deeds I have committed. Shut up, Timmy. You committed murder. You're going to jail. But like I said, the defense proves, hey, he's too young to possibly know of the crime he's committed. He doesn't know the consequences. Has no understanding of it, of permanence of possibly if he committed murder, of death. He does not know the permanence. Hey, possibly lesser crime, or just pretty much let off the hook. In my opinion, if they're so young that they don't understand death, let them go, unless they have a mind that can understand death. And it's state of mind. Excuse me. State of mind. Can they comprehend their actions? Mens rea actus reus. Guilty mind, guilty act. If they have guilty mind, then their guilty act is pretty much proven that they know what they did. And that comes down to corrections. Corrections. Juvenile. He has two choices. Adult jail, or he can go to juvenile corrections. Adult jail. He's committed murder. Proven. He could go to juvenile corrections until he is of legal age and move straight into adult corrections. If he's of adulthood or close enough to it, the court just say, "You're an adult. You know the crime you did. Get into the friggin' adult corrections." And that's true. You see, there's many cases where that's happened. And if I went out and committed murder when I was 16, I could be committed straight to adult corrections. I knew what I've done. I knew it was a guilty act. I knew the consequences. Evidence proves that I've done it. There's all that to it. I'd like to thank you guys for letting me rant for a little while. And I'd like a little bit of feedback. You know, I'm new to the video stuff and everything like that, and as many of you are, but I'd like a little bit of feedback, anything that I could have added, anything that could have been changed, you know, anything like that. Hope you have a good day. See you next time.